Last time on Dice Fall and Everyone Dies. When y'all all eventually come down for your morning breakfast, you find Alec, Pib, and Zarf in the common room of the Wizard's Grace, and Alec is already armed. He appears to have replaced his sword, but he looks like he is nursing the mother of all hangovers. Phantom ligaments almost kind of frost up a little bit, and then eventually you hear this creaking as the bones themselves become so brittle it can't even take the weight of its armor.
Phantom Ligaments would be a pretty cool band name.
Right?
Tunnel that leads off from the Tixatog's lair as you begin moving down towards it. When just at the very edge of it, Demos can kind of make out the hinting line of the boxes. Welcome back to Dice Fall and Everyone Dies. I'm your GM Chris, and today let's talk about dark vision. Senses, especially in Pathfinder, are about how beings experience their environment, and in 2nd edition they've tinkered with how this system of senses works. Now, there was a very subtle but important change to one aspect of this sense system, and it was their update to dark vision. This ability used to have a range increment of either 30 or 60 feet depending on the source of the ability and the addition of rules that you're using. But now, dark vision has the same lengths as light-based sight. But was there a reason for that? Now on Golarion, many races require light to stimulate the eyes for sight, and this is represented with low light vision as well as standard vision, but there's a large swath of Golarion's denizens that never see the light of day, and that's generally those who dwell in the Darklands. These would be your Duergar, your Drow. Now, natural light doesn't reach the network of caverns beneath the surface, but those creatures that dwell in the dark still have to navigate that environment. Now, however, dark vision is biologically accomplished. Limiting that sense to 10 or 20 yards is really a game balance decision, and it's focused around standard archetypes of dungeon raiders. If your characters could see deeply into the dungeon and know what monsters they were facing, they could gain a huge tactical advantage beforehand. So the mechanical system's balance served the purpose, but why would any ancestry build large rooms or long tunnels if their sight was consistently limited to a range of 10 or 20 yards? It makes sense for pawns on a table, but it doesn't really make sense for creatures of fantasy and imagination. So, out the door goes the distance limitation to dark vision. So why not always make sure your characters have dark vision as a player? You often go to dark places, you want to be able to see into shadows. It makes perceiving much easier. Well, you see, this sense has a distinct drawback. It's only perceived in black and white. Now, this has huge implications and also drawbacks if players rely too heavily on the ability. For you see, color is used to determine many variations of the environment that black and white just does not match. You see, color is often used to determine material types, biological signals, language signals. The difference, for instance, ask yourself what is the difference between quartz crystal, ruby, or diamond. Now in the light, they're often different colors, but in dark vision, you only have things like texture, hardness. Now, if you have a very generous GM, maybe these materials have different shades of gray. Or you can take red in nature. It's often used to signal biological danger for both hunters as well as prey. But when you're in a desaturated world of black and white down in the deep, dark caverns, well, something could be red all day long, but in dark vision you will not be able to tell. Or let's take scrolls for instance. Scrolls are often written in what's considered blue or black ink. You may have a few different colors, but on a scroll, would writing even stand out? How should writing stand out? See, the tasty part as a GM is defining these in-between spaces of the mechanics. In a world of no shadows and only black and white vision, should there be gradients? What causes the contrast on surfaces in the world? Now, once your GM has answered this question and fits that to the table, they can then build great traps, puzzles, and encounters. Here's a puzzle for your party full of players with dark vision. Your group moves into the room. The thick stone doors slide shut, sealing your group inside. and before you is a circle of 6 pedestals surrounding a central dais. On the surface are 6 stones of magnificent cut and shape. You lift them up and you can tell that there are different weights, and each has a similar hue to your dark vision. And sculpted out of each of the pillars around the dais are spots that seem like they would fit any of the stones specifically. So now the players generally get the idea. The stones are likely keys that go in the pillars. What they may think but not know is that there could be a specific order to the placement. Now as the GM, you could have your players roll perception checks to see if they can tell any minute details. This gives you a chance to feed the party tactile information about the materials, but may definitely not their colors since everything's in black and white. If the party places the stones incorrectly, maybe a trap triggers or monsters come into the room. But if players happen to light up a torch, and suddenly the puzzle's easy because each of the pillars is the same color as one of the stones. You give them a hero button for a great idea, and then you move on to your next encounter. And this kind of puzzle is light-based and is resolved very quickly if your players decide to use standard vision. But don't be afraid to reverse the idea. Your heroes might be used to light-based vision, but maybe to get their final clues they need to put out the lights and rely on some dark vision to avoid some traps. Now, the great puzzle for all happens to be navigating to the ratings and comment sections of your podcasting app to leave those sweet and wonderful comments. They are the greatest reward, and it really helps the show as well as fellow listeners know if we are the best show for them. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook for updates on new episodes as well as other shenanigans we may be getting up to. Now, when we last left off, the party was about to enter the cavern that Vaz had soundedly defeated them in the previous day. But how will they fare in round 2? Is there anything you want to do before you get to the end of this tunnel? Is there something you wanted to do, Taffy?
She's just going to keep an eye behind her.
And see.
Have Wimble watch behind.
And Taffy also has low light vision, right?
Yes, naturally low light, but right now it's heightened to dark vision as well.
Okay, so Taffy, give me a perception check.
19.
So you see into the deeply 30-foot or 60-foot dark vision?
30 foot. Wait, let me check. It just says you grant yourself supernatural sight in areas of darkness, you gain dark vision.
So we'll assume that that's 60-foot dark vision.
Okay.
So you can see the boxes and the area that is the campsite. The boxes that you see don't look like they are the ones that you ended up smashing through with your magic missile. You think that's the one that's just behind this other set of boxes. You do not see any movement from where you're at, and you're right at the crook of the tunnel, and you have a straight line shot of vision, and you can see like this stack of boxes that's there. So it's a different angle from when y'all first moved into this room.
But we don't see anything else, correct?
Correct. And Stano, you, from where you're at, you could even barely make out the edge of a box. You would need to see more into the room, you would need to move up to the very edge of the tunnel before it opens up. And it feels very eerie because the only thing you can really hear is this little drip that's happening from the Tixatog's lair. Every little drop is like...
Well, I don't think we're stealthy anymore, considering the fact that we just fought that Tixatog. Also, Caslin was probably yelling while he was attacked by spiders.
Be nice.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay. So Stano is going to stride forward.
Excellent. Everyone give me perception checks.
19.
20.
All right.
27.
14.
Okay. So as y'all begin entering in, Stano is about to take their first step into the cave. So y'all are all in the mouth of the cave, or y'all are all along this tunnel of the cave. And that's when Deimos sees shift and movement behind the boxes. Deimos, it is your action. What do you want to do?
Well, I don't know what it is.
Correct. You would need to take a seek action to be able to tell more information.
Okay, what do I add to that?
So seek is a perception check.
28.
From what you can tell, you see a flutter of a cape and what you assume is potentially the hobgoblin that you had faced before. They seem, and you also see what you think may be a second figure behind that cover. You have 2 actions remaining. What would you like to do? You think what you see is Voss and likely Yoltolsha.
Do I still have my spiritual weapon out?
It has been a bit more than a minute.
Right. Use magic missile.
Okay, doke. So they are behind boxes and they have cover. So you know that they are over there, but you don't have a line of sight onto them. There are 2 big boxes, crates in the way.
Can I use Mage Hand just to kind of like knock the boxes out of the way?
These are big, heavy crates. So they would probably be anywhere from 4 to 5 bulk, and I think a Mage Hand can only do at most a light or a single bulk.
I'm going to do shield guidance. What's the other one?
So who's going to get the guidance?
No, sorry, inspire courage and inspire defense.
Excellent.
And shield.
And so you begin up this beat that begins pumping everyone up, raising their courage, having them tighten up their stances and formation. The prelude as you see Demiri pop up from her covered position, and you see her, looks like she's drawing a bead directly onto Taffy, and lets loose a single arrow right at Taffy. Here's payback, and launches an arrow from her short bow. Taffy, what is your AC?
I have the Inspire Defense as well.
Yep.
What does that add? 1d to AC?
Yeah, that's a +1 to your AC.
So 17.
So her arrow comes directly at you, slams into your shoulder, and hits you for 2 points of damage right in, and that's what she can start off with. Just this. It whizzes right by Stano, whizzes right by Bread, just ignoring all of that potential cover, and just slams right into you, tagging you. And then you hear Demiri be like, shit, aim higher. And then that's when Voz stands up and it's just like, take a different approach, love. And casts a spell that Taffy knows very, very well. Grim tendrils shoot out from her. And everyone, I believe, needs to make a beautiful save for me.
Reflex, right?
I don't think it's reflex.
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, go ahead and roll the d20, and as I look that up right quick.
I'm gonna turn it in a hero point.
Excellent. Thank you, Stano.
It's not like you're actually getting the button.
I get it in spirit and in song.
My fortitude save is 22.
It's 23.
It's 26.
Minus 24.
26, and just note that I also turned in a hero point.
Excellent. That means you're at no more hero points, right then?
Yeah.
Alright, so just to cover it one more time. So 26 was Caslin, right?
Yep.
And Taffy was...
22.
And then Stano was...
24.
And then Demos is...
23.
Okay. So everyone gets hit by it.
What?
Fucking what?
Now...
The fortitude save is to mitigate damage.
Oh.
Right. So it looks like Alec is entirely unaffected. At the very, very end of it, he seems to be well prepared for this spell and just nimbly dodges out of the way. But everyone else gets hit by it. But Taffy, it looks as though this one almost focuses around you as a bit of the center as it does its full allotment of damage to you. Everyone else will take half damage. thorns from it are enacting a bleed on Taffy now. And so Taffy is going to have a bleed 2 effect from this.
It bleed too?
Yup, it's a heightened Grim Tendrils.
God damn it.
So Taffy takes 9 points of damage, and everyone else will take 4 points of damage from that spell. And then Vaz waves her hand, and a shield pops up in front of her. Alec, being nimble on his feet this round, begins bustling through everyone, taking 2 actions, and then seeing the crates moves off to the side. And then with his torch in hand and his greatsword in the other, you see, getting ready to prepare to flank, is the skeletal champion and the original skeletal guard. But it takes 3 actions for him to be able to move up and through everyone. But he is now standing there facing them. And it is now Steno's turn.
How far away are the skeletons from Steno?
So, Alec is standing in front of the skeletal guard. There is a space open between the skeletal champion and the box that's there. And you should be able to move there within a single step.
How far away is Vaz from Steno?
So Vaz is about 20 feet away, but is hidden with partial cover behind 2 large crates. They are enough to where it would be very simple to just duck behind them and get near full cover. You would end up expending at least 2 squares of movement and probably need to make an athletics check to get on top of them.
I don't recommend that.
But I kind of want to run up and jump on one of them.
You could try.
That'd be really cool if I did it, wouldn't it?
Is that what you want to do?
If I successfully did this, could I still make an action at the end of it? Or would that have taken up all 3 moves?
So, for you to traverse over to get into melee with either Demiri or Vaz, it would take 2 actions, and that's if you successfully passed your athletics check. It may take
Fuck it,
3
I'm gonna
actions
try it.
if you fail your athletics check.
Fuck it. I'm gonna try it. Get me up at Vaz.
Alrighty, so you move forward. Give me an athletics check.
29.
So you hip yourself up onto the box, and then you use your second aspect of that movement, and you're now standing on top of the box, towering basically 4 feet above Vaz, her shield raised, this crazed or this disbelieving look in her face, and this somewhat disbelieving look from Demiri as well, but almost a wry smile associated with that from Demiri. Like, I should have, or one of those looks of, I told you she would do this. And you have 1 action remaining.
So I'm gonna hit Vaz with a... Sorry, I'm doing math. Oh, I'm dumb. With a 32 to hit.
Let's see. 32 hits, but because of her shield, it does not crit.
She takes 15 points of damage.
You brute! Caslin.
Only the best.
So, from everything that's there, you have a lot of hard cover in front of Vaz. Not only is she behind a crate, there is now in the spot where you would have normally shot through, your ally is standing in that spot there.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. What's the spacing in here like? Like,
So,
can I move around, or is it kind of...
You're in very tight quarters presently. So you find yourself at about 5 feet into the entrance tunnel. You know that you have to move up at least 5 feet to be able to see remotely the skeletal undead.
Okay.
And from where you're at, you can see that Demiri and Vaz both have partial cover, being behind the crates. And there is a gap that you could probably move through to get to around those crates to engage. If you had to estimate that, it would take probably 2 moves to be able to get over to where Vaz and Demiri are at.
Okay.
Or you could move over and then directly engage with the undead. But it it looks like it'll probably be a tight squeeze for you to pass around those crates there.
Okay.
But you could try doing exactly just like what Stano did on the other set of crates that's in front of Demiri.
Please
Yeah.
note I do have a plus 10 to my athletics.
So the undead, is that... You said I could move up to engage with that one?
If you so want to.
Okay, let's do it.
So you move in, it takes you an action to then enter into combat, and you're standing shoulder to shoulder with Alec. Alec having his greatsword in one hand, his torch in another. And you have 2 actions remaining. What do you want to do?
I'm going to... Alright, I'm going to drop the bow, and then quick draw my short sword, and attack the skeletal guy.
So you swing at the skeletal champion. Roll thy attack. With his big old shield and his, I believe, longsword. Yes, his longsword.
That's a 27.
27 hits.
Okay. That's a 7.
7 damage.
Yeah.
So you can tell that because he is a skeleton, your longsword is not as effective against him. But you do chip into his bone somewhat, kind of angling your strike around his shield. You have 1 more action.
No, I think that's both. That's all 3.
Well, so you moved and quick drawed, and you free action to drop your bow.
Oh,
so
the draw was a... I didn't realize that was a free action to drop it. Okay.
Now, you could have used an action to stow away your bow.
Okay, yeah, let's do that instead.
Okay. So you stowed away your bow, moved up, and then quick drew your short sword, and then cut into this undead.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Taffy, you now have a clear line between you and entering into the cavern area. Vaz is almost entirely obscured behind Stano's form and the crates, and Demiri has popped up and is visible on the other side of the crates, and still looks like she has a pretty significant bead on you.
So I can see Demiri.
You can see Demiri. Your dark vision is expressively helpful in this situation. You realize that if it wasn't for your dark vision, you wouldn't be able to see her at all.
I'm gonna be sensible for once. I'm going to cast Mirror Image on myself. So 3 versions of me pops up right next to me. And I'm going to cast Shield on myself.
Ooh, good defensive play right there. Alrighty. And so that now means it is the skeleton's turn. So the one that is in front of Alec tries to reach out and strike him. And even utilizing Alec's own greatsword against him that was dropped earlier, Alec is able to defend off with his more mundane one. And even one-handed, you see Alec with his greatsword one-handed and his torch, using the more mundane greatsword to fend off the slow parries of that undead. But then the skeletal champion is going to bear down onto Kazlin. What is Kazlin's AC?
Do we still have the Inspire Courage? Or
You
Inspire
do still have Inspire Defense.
Yes, both still up.
Okay. Is 22.
So his first strike is a miss. But you then see him shift to block off your access to move along the crates. And then he has raised his shield there. Then, now, Deimos. Your courage and defense drop off, but it is now your turn again. You and Taffy standing in the back in the hall. What do you want to do?
Alright. I'm going to do Hideous Laughter first on Vaz.
Do you have to see? Do you have to be able to see the target?
Is range 30 feet, 1 living creature.
From where you're at, she is just outside of your range.
I'll take a move to step up a little bit then.
Alright, so you move the step up in front of Taffy, and that puts her just in your range. And then you want to cast Hideous Laughter?
Yes. She needs to do a will save.
It needs to be a 20.
She falls prone. She is slowed. She can't use any reactions.
Was it a critical failure?
It was a critical failure.
The target falls prone and
is
can't
also
use
slowed
actions
one.
or reactions for 1 round. Then it suffers failure effects, which is the target is slowed 1 and can't use reactions.
And so you just see Vaz just fall back laughing. This look of terror and fear in her eyes.
World's funniest joke, guys.
And then Demiri 5 foot steps back and is going to... This is an interesting spot here. But she's got to do what she's got to do. And looks like she trades and begins aiming at Deimos and unleashes a shot right at Deimos. Deimos, what is your AC presently?
19.
So the shot goes off, slams into you for 6 points of damage as this well-placed arrow thuds into you from Demiri. And then she lets loose a second shot into you. And the shot hits you again, but this time for 4 points of damage. Just thop into you from that spot.
Alright.
Alec takes his torch and slams it into the head of the skeleton, just knocking in this fiery plume all of his strength in this backhanded fiery swipe, launching the skeletal guard's head off.
What?
He then drops the greatsword he's wielding and picks up the one that the skeleton was wielding. That was my father's sword. And then moves over to position himself next to good old Kazalin.
Good.
Now with his torch essentially splintered and gone, properly wielding its embers, or the head of it probably not going to last more than a couple rounds of being able to provide light. But now rearmed with his greatsword, he is now shoulder to shoulder with Kazalin, facing off against the skeletal champion. Steno.
Yes.
So you're in an interesting conundrum. You are standing on a box, towering above your opponent, but you actually don't have the reach with your greatsword to properly stab down unless you get off the box.
Can
Do
I?
a leaping jump into her.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, can I, like, jump down and stab her?
You can, but you do have to pick whether to land on the right between the crates and Demiri, or landing away from Demiri. Because you can't just land on her, but you can land bringing a strike down.
I can't just land on Boz.
No, she's prone, but she is not an ally.
I know, that's why I wanted to land feet first into her stomach, but okay, I understand. Let me land away from Demiri.
So you step off. You have to use a move action to do it properly.
That's fine.
And your bonus in athletics is high enough that you can do so without needing to roll. And so you now have 2 actions remaining to you.
I'm gonna power attack Boz.
All right, bring the sword down. Roll your attack.
28.
28 is definitely a hit, and because she is prone, and I believe she's prone and slowed. Prone, slowed, can't use actions. You're just off from critting. You're so close to critting.
That makes me so mad. I had the dice ready and everything. God damn it.
So close to critting. Yeah, so close. That's alright. How much damage you do?
20 damage. 20 damage.
She is still up.
I mean, she's down, but I see what you mean.
So she is still alive. She is exceedingly unhappy. And
I don't know. She seems pretty chipper to me.
Oh, it is now fear laughter emanating out from her. Kazalin, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna pull out my other short sword, and then do a twin takedown on the skeletal champion.
All right, so you make your first and second attack rolls.
First is a 22. Wait, 24, and the second one is a 27.
So both of your strikes hit.
A 6 and a 7, so 13 damage.
So here's an interesting and very useful part about Twin Takedown. So Twin Takedown has this great statement in there that for both of those strikes you combine them into damage, and this is the kind of situation that that's for. Because you see, skeletons have resistance 5 slashing, and y'all know this having dealt with them before. So if each of these strikes had been separate strikes, you would have dealt a lot less damage. But because you can combine both of your strikes to be that 13 instead of their individual amounts, the resistance is only going to apply once. And so you're able to bring both of your strikes with your Twin Takedown and focus a little bit more damage onto them. The undead still seems to be coherent and up, but it is damaged more than what your first strike was against it. And you have, I believe, now 2 actions remaining?
No, I think that was 2, because twin takedown is 2 action, isn't it?
No, it's 1 action. Twin Takedown is 2 strikes, 1 action, but you can only use Twin Takedown once.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, that's where...
Because it's a flourish.
Can I demoralize?
You want to try yelling at an undead?
Do it.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Do it.
Go ahead and make an... it'll require an action to intimidate. What do you say to it?
I say, I'm gonna kill you again, you fucking asshole. Or, I'm gonna kill you again, you fucking asshole. But I only rolled a 12, so good luck with that.
Its jaw kind of drops a little bit, and then it chatters back up. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Taffy.
How far away are the boxes from me now?
So you are about 20 feet away from the first box, 25 feet away from the box behind it, and 30 feet away from Vaz, but Vaz being prone is behind the boxes and you cannot see Vaz. And you but you can also tell that Demiri has moved, and Demiri is about 40 feet away from you.
Can I use a full action to, like, 1 action to move up to see Vaz?
To see Vaz, because of the size of the boxes and her being prone, to do that you would need to move up and behind Alec, and it looks like it'll take you... And you're just wanting to get what? Line of sight for Magic Missile?
Line of sight for anything.
It looks like to get line of sight for anything, you'll need to use 2 actions to do so.
Oh, fuck that. You said I can see Demiri?
You can. The Blessing of Dark Vision's still benefiting you.
Yeah, it's for an hour. Alright. Happy's gonna pull out a scroll and read off Magic Missile and cast it at Demiri. Full round.
So to retrieve the scroll is 1 action, and as you use it, you'll be able to use it for 2 actions.
Oh, in that case, then I will just cast level 1 spell Magic Missile, so I want to be able to do 3.
Alrighty, and so you launch 3 Magic Missiles at Demiri?
Yeah.
Alright, give me your damage.
So that's 10 plus so 14.
And so this is your level 1 Magic Missile, right?
Yes.
That is a nice Magic Missile.
Yeah, I got 2 3s and a 4.
That is some expert power coming in from that one. And so you definitely catch Demiri's attention, as it seems like you keep aiming for Demiri's head, and she is not very appreciative of this. And so now, though, the skeletal champion makes a strike against Kazalin. Kazalin, what is your AC?
We have to re-up the spider defense.
Deimos did not.
Okay, so it's a 21.
So the longsword strikes out, but you're able to deflect it with your twin blades.
Nice.
It then looks like it raises its shield and holds its ground against you.
So
Deimos.
it just adds a shield to its AC, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
It is now your turn, Deimos. You have 3 actions. Do you wish to sustain the hideous laughter?
Just one extra move.
To sustain will require 1 action.
Alright, yeah, I'll go ahead and sustain that.
So that sustain is going to keep the slow effect happening to Vaz.
Alright, and I'm also going to inspire courage and inspire defense.
So you'll see this grim look of determination kind of go across Deimos' face. And the only one who can really kind of see it is Taffy, since she really just kind of sees his body language change a little bit. And then the plucking strings of the lyre have kind of picked up that faster tempo. And you notice it seems as though they're oddly timed to continue to maintain Vaz's laughter, as though she's being forced to laugh at every pluck of the string. But now Vaz finds herself in a very terrible position, because Vaz is now prone at the mercy of Steno, towering above in her armor, being slowed 1 down to only 2 actions. Vaz is going to have to make an interesting call. Steno, you're going to get an attack of opportunity.
Brilliant!
Make your strike.
29.
29 is enough to critical.
Nice.
Is enough to critical?
Yes, you were 1 off last time with your 28. 29, because she is prone, is enough to critical. But that was not a natural 20, correct?
It was not a natural 20. 22 damage.
So your sword comes down and stabs into Voss's stomach. But you see a slightly different glint in her eye as, through the laughter, through the pain, rolling a natural 20 to keep her spell and expend her 2 actions, casting while prone, Steno, make a will save.
She can't do any reactions.
It's not a reaction. This is her spell. A reaction is a
will
specific
save
type.
type?
Yep.
I'm gonna say that's fine. I just critically succeeded that. So it's a 28.
So you feel what you, like this lattice work of tingles spreading across your skin. And for a moment, all of your muscles went taut. But then you gritted your teeth and you bear down, staring into Vaz's eyes. This look of hope as it looks like her spell is beginning to take effect. And then you just jiggle your sword in her as you pull it out. And then the hope in her eyes dies as you seem to be entirely unaffected by her spell.
What the fuck did she cast on me?
You don't know exactly what spell it is, but whatever it was, Vaz is severely disappointed that the effect that she may have tried to use a previous day seemed to have had no effect on her quarry.
Listen, Vaz, I know wonderful wizards, and you're not one of them.
And just as you say that, thwip, thwip, thwip. What's your AC?
With Inspire Defense, it is 23.
3 arrows, expertly shot from Demiri, slam into you.
Damn.
One of them nearly taking out your eye.
Fuck, and what?
But luckily she didn't crit on that. So you take 6 points from the first arrow, 3 points from the second, and 3 points from the third.
Okay.
And then it is now Alec's turn. So Alec is going to step next to the champion, trying to begin scooching by it, and not quite able to flank, is going to attempt a power attack against the undead. And he's trying to like baseball bat this sucker through, and he's able to hit, but the undead takes his shield up and tries to absorb the damage from the strike. But do you know what it's like when you have just a basic steel shield against a magically enhanced, runed +1 greatsword that has striking? Because striking gives you an additional weapon die. So it's basically like you're critting on the spell without having to act, or critting on the power attack without actually having to crit. And so this shield comes in, so it's not quite a sturdy steel shield, but a nice solid steel shield, and it gets thrashed hard.
Did he just buckle that steel shield with a hit?
He has broken the steel shield with a single strike from his greatsword. It is now in a broken condition, and so much damage went into this skeleton, slamming into its armor, denting its shield. It finds itself severely damaged. Its arm that it has the shield just barely able to hold on to it. Only the thing bringing over its longsword to begin bracing the impact has kept it even remotely still intact. Steno.
Yeah. Yes.
It is your turn. You stand above a prone vase, but with Demiri and her, what you think may be a composite short bow, aimed at you.
So Stano sees that she should probably go after Demiri, but Vaz, how good does Vaz look right now?
Vaz does not appear to be in a preferred state by any means, and she's looking quite bloody. The whole stabbed in the stomach part is a major problem for her right now.
Then Stano's going to power attack Vaz.
Alright, make your strike. Don't roll a 1. Don't roll a 1.
I got hero points.
Don't roll 2 1s.
That's okay. I didn't roll a 1. That is a 22 to hit.
22 hits.
That is not a 22 to hit. I did math wrong. That's a 32 to hit.
That's a crit. You did math really wrong to swing by 10, by the way.
At least you're good
Yeah,
at
I
swinging
know.
swords, because you're not good at math.
Listen. Player to player, I was an English major, okay?
That is a critical effect. Was that a natural 20?
No, that was a 19.
Oh, so close. Alright. Oh, man. And this was a power attack?
Yes, it does 23 damage.
You bring your sword down, and cross-hatching across your initial stab, you have exposed, severely wounding Vaz, bringing her to 0 as she has begun bleeding out from the cross-hatched wound into her torso.
I'm gonna coup de grace her.
No,
So I'm gonna... What?
no, you can take her back.
No, absolutely not. I'm gonna coup de grace her. We could still take her back.
So she is presently at dying 1, and you have 1 action left. So you need to bring her to dying 4 to fully kill her, but you can put 1 more wound on her.
Can I look into Miri's eye while I'm doing this?
Oh, you can.
Alright.
You won't get your full intimidate. You'd have to spend an action for that.
That is a 21 to hit.
21 hits the prone and very, very bleedy Vaz, who now finds herself at dying 2.
And that does 11 damage.
Damage doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
You have to. It's whether you crit or don't crit at this point, or whether you hit and whether
Can I
you crit.
specify? Can I specify that Stato did not stab her into the crosshatch again?
What part did you want to stab towards?
Stato stabbed her in the throat.
Ooh. So you just bear your blade down onto the throat.
Yes.
That's not going to heal well. Kazlin.
Alright, I'm going to drop my sword, one of them, trip the skeletal companion, or the skeletal champion.
Okie doke. Make your trip attack.
20?
20 versus the skeletal champions. Reflex DC says that is enough to make it prone, and it is now prone.
Alright. Now, how far am I from Demiri?
You are... It looks like you need to move 30 feet to get to Demiri.
Okay. Let's see, what is my speed? 25 feet. Okay. I am now going to run 25 feet to Demiri, and then use my quick draw to pull out my halberd with my 5-foot reach and stab her with that.
All right, so you dance along with Alec providing you cover, just kind of like bouncing off the shield of the skeletal champion, and you move past Stano, who has her sword prepared to sever the spinal cord of Vaz, whipping out your halberd, and then bringing it in for a strike against Amiri. What's your to hit?
23.
You know, y'all have not actually hit Demiri with a physical attack, and I have to move back to the page at which her stats are on.
We're saving her for later.
23 is a hit.
Okay. That's 9 damage.
So Demiri appears to still be up and is not overly bloodied yet. And so I believe that's your last action, right?
Right.
Taffy.
Seeing this, I'm going to unleash another magic missile.
Okie doke. What level of magic missile are you sending her way?
Standard. I prepared it multiple times.
The scrolls help too. So you're unleashing 3d4 plus 3.
11.
So 11
No,
more
plus
points.
4. Yeah. 11 more points of damage.
So Demiri appears to be bloodied now as these bolts of magic missile keep doing everything in their power to aim right at her head for some reason. Do 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 do. The skeletal champion stands up, provoking an attack from Alec. And Alec takes this opportunity as it's trying to stand up from prone to just slam down the butt of its greatsword and smacks the thing for enough to just shatter its bones. The butt of the blade coming down, smashing the helmet, and it just shatters the spinal column of the skeleton. And it is done. As it tried to get up. Demos.
I am also going to use magic missile.
On Demiri?
Yes, on Demiri. And I'm going to use my 3 actions for that.
Alrighty. And what level of magic missile are you using?
Just level 1.
Unleash your 3d4 plus 3.
9.
So Demiri is still up, but looking very haggard. Looking around to see how the tables have turned, seeing that the skeletal guards have been basically dismantled and destroyed, to see her employer with a sword in her throat, not on her throat, in her throat.
Hang on. What were you saying, Jules?
I actually did the math a little wrong on that. It's 10.
10 damage.
Okay, no. Still looking haggard, but slightly less haggard. Demiri throws down her bow, throws down her swords, puts her hands up in the air. I know when I beat.
Happens very often.
Nearly died once. Not doing. If I can avoid it, I'm not going to do it again.
I'm pretty sure you did die.
So she throws her hands up in the air. So now we come down to Alec kind of moves up, standing next to Stano, backing up Kazlin, looking down at the bleeding Vaz sword in her throat, looks over towards Demiri. Lady Stano, either
Yes?
go all the way or none of the way. It's Stano's turn.
Stano's going to, if by power attack her, does it count as 2 attacks?
No.
Or does that just... Okay. So I'm going to have to attack her and then attack her again to put her at dying 4?
So the bubbling around your sword, blood is gushing around the wound, and she finds herself at dying 3. Do you just want to press the sword down?
Yes.
Damn.
So you move your blade through the cartilage of the back of her neck, and she is dead.
Damn, shit's dark, bro.
Mail fraud is a serious crime.
Damn.
After that, I don't think she could have been able to talk anyway. Alec lifts his sword and points it at Demiri. You know, she's worth more alive than dead right now.
Taffy, what do you think?
I'm thinking. Give me a second.
Just out of character, attacking somebody who has surrendered themselves.
I
That's an
know.
alignment shift. a further
I
alignment
know. I know. I remember.
shift.
We've made that decision before. In any case,
You nearly killed my
Demiri.
friend.
What was that, Taffy?
You nearly killed my friends. But I guess we killed your boss, so even?
Does that mean I can go free?
No,
No,
absolutely not.
no,
Absolutely
no.
not.
Mm-mm.
Then it's hard to call that even. That's fine. Life is good.
You're still a criminal. Come on.
Now, I'm sure you've seen where Voz keeps her things. Where's the mail?
Other side of the box behind us.
Thank you. Santa's gonna go look for a letter.
So as you're beginning to move through and check out that material,
Can we restrain Demiri?
you can. In fact, you find quite a bit of spelunking and dungeoneering supplies in the crates around you as you check out the area. And Demiri cooperates, seeing that not cooperating now is likely to lead to very bad times. And so, for a hard-fought victory, y'all get to figure out all the fun things that are in and around you. Who is... So, while Stano is checking through Voz's material, who is going through the other parts of the camp? So we know who discovers what. Or do y'all just want to keep all the things out in the open?
Yeah.
I'll go
Alright.
through the things.
Together y'all begin kind of pulling together all of the material. So you find a key on Demiri that seems to match a chest that is singed but still intact. And as you open it up, you find a 50-foot length of rope as well as a set of grappling hooks. There are 4 lesser healing potions, as well as what you can determine is an ever-burning torch. You also find a sack containing 400 silver pieces. Demiri looks at that. That was our payment. Not that it's going to do me any good where I'm going.
You mean payment from Voz?
Yes, she hired us on to guard her back while she went to go search for some gate down in the caverns.
Did she by chance find that gate?
Before y'all showed up yesterday, she had just come back saying that she thought she was close, came complaining of spiders.
Well, we've certainly dealt with spiders here.
Alright, we'll want to make sure y'all have all of the combat gear off Demiri as well. So you can tell that her short bow is a composite short bow. She has on a couple daggers. Her armor happens to be a rune-inscribed leather armor. And from what you can tell, she has a rune-inscribed striking rapier as well. In some of the area there, you find some recovered equipment, mostly arrows, a few blackened longswords from the other mercenaries that were there. It doesn't look like any of their armor was particularly salvageable, but they were able to salvage some of their weapons, even if they were somewhat flame-singed from when y'all encountered them. So amongst all of them, you see that there's pretty much a large cadre of, at this point, about 110 additional arrows are there between all of them that were salvaged.
Does anyone object to me taking the rapier?
I already have a +1 rapier.
Oh, so just do the same thing?
Yeah, no, I
No.
don't.
Well, no, it's striking, so it's
It's an
double
additional weapon
die.
die, yeah.
Would I be able to take that?
You could use it, but how often are you going to be properly striking with a rapier? That's the question.
That's fair.
Never mind. It's Brett's.
Okay.
Now, Brad, you have the doubling rings, right?
Yep.
I believe that allows you to do some fun stuff with enchantments, so we'll need to double check here pretty quick to see whether or not that applies to striking to your other weapon. So if you want to look that up while I am going through Voz's treasure to see how that interacts, since I think you have the doubling rings, right?
Yeah, he does.
All right. And now, all the fun stuff on Voz. So Taffy gravitates towards Voz as Stano initially checks Voz's bag, looking for mail and correspondence. You see the journal, you do a quick flip through to see if there's anything that looks like it's obviously a letter from Nidal. They have a very peculiar stock of paper that comes from the trees that they do, and so it stands out pretty well. It's pretty much the most goth thing you would have ever expected to see ever coming out as far as stationery goes. And you don't find it in her initial materials, and you focus on looking at through that first. And as you're beginning, Taffy kind of moves over and is looking through her material. You can tell that the Voz's dagger is a rune-etched dagger. It was probably Voz's bonded item, from what you can tell, Taffy. You can see that she happens to also have a moderate healing potion on her as well.
On both.
You also see what you make out to be a scroll of sleep, as well as a scroll of true strike.
Okay.
Then,
is her spellbook anywhere near her?
Oh, her spellbook's there.
Oh,
You also find her journal, and her spellbook has quite a few delicious spells in there. Right off the top, you can see. Now, Taffy and Stano, go ahead and give me perception checks.
That wasn't great. 15.
And Taffy?
23. Rolled a natural 16.
So, Stano, you're able to find the letter, and you begin going through and reading it, and you roll your eyes so hard that you almost didn't read the bottom part of it that said that there should have been a crystal included, a gemstone of some form, and you're not quite sure where that's at. And then, Taffy, as you're going through the pack, you find Voz's spellbook. The other thing you find is you happen to actually find the outlines for raising ritualized skeletal undead. So there is a create undead ritual buried in there. Y'all begin taking a look through her materials, seeing how well this camp was prepared, and really taking time to settle things down. How are y'all on damage?
Stano's not looking hot.
Kazan has 41.
Okay. So while I'm going through this segment, Damos, if you want to go ahead and it'll probably take y'all about an hour to get through what I'm about to describe. So go ahead and make medicine checks for everyone and write them down. And so when I ask, then we'll go ahead and cover how much hit points everyone got. Sound good?
Jules says that's fine.
Excellent. So y'all begin getting into the material, and Taffy gets quickly engrossed into Voz's notes as far as she can. There's a lot of partial margin aspects in there. The reason she finds it as interesting is because this is likely one of the few documents that she's ever seen in a script known as Necrol. And if I remember correctly, that is not one of Taffy's known languages, right?
No, it is not.
So Taffy begins kind of pouring through, seeing what, looking for things like proper names and that type of material. And from what you can tell, there are a few proper names that immediately kind of stand out because they have to be written in different script. One is Hell Knight Hill, specifically. There wasn't a good translation for that. Another one is Alceta's Ring, stands out. Scarlet Triad stands out. And everyone give me a society check on the Scarlet Triad.
19 for me.
17 for me.
24.
So, Taffy, you heard about the Scarlet Triad in kind of hushed tones to start off with, which was a bit unusual because most of the time gnomes are talking about things, they tend to not talk about them in hushed tones at all. They talk about them in either excited or jubilant tones. But you've heard of them because they're known from the Ketapeshi area, well far to the south, that they happen to be like a minor merchant guild. Not a guild that you'd normally expect to have ties all the way up here in the middle of Isker for someone out in a cave. And as you're looking around, you find another proper noun. This one you think is a name of Lasloon. Lasloon. Lunn. You don't think you'll be able to pull too much together on what it's referring around there, but that's definitely someone's name, and it's roughly around the part of the script that starts talking about this Scarlet Triad.
I won't be able to until tomorrow, because then I can cast Comprehend Language.
Now, you start getting towards the back end of the journal, and once you start getting to there, this one is not actually translated into Necrol, but is actually in Common. It looks like these are very recent journal notes being done in. And as you're kind of looking through, you can tell where it looks like there was maybe an initial draft done and then a translation on the next page, a draft done translation, because you're seeing spots where it looks like there's a little bit of ink bleed through, as well as a few torn and removed pages from the journal itself. And as you get into this later part, seeing it in Common, you look like you're reading a quick journal from the last several days of Vaz's explorations in here. From her notes, it looks like she believes that at the end apparatus of these caves is some sort of access to the ring itself. That if she can just get through this pack of spiders at the end of it, then she'll probably be able to make it down there. And she makes this final entry with, "A strange woman seemed to have been able to manipulate the spiders as easily as I command any of my undead minions. I must find out how. Until then, I had to retreat." And then that is the last entry into the journal itself before you get into her spellbook.
Wait, does that mean that there was a strange woman down there, or just some strange woman that she knows of?
Somewhere down in the cave is the implication.
Oh, that's creepy. Some spider woman hanging out in the middle of a cave.
And then, what would y'all... Oh, and as you're getting to the very last aspect of the bag, you pull out a gemstone. It appears to be a kind of a reddish hue in color, but it looks like it's been fractured through. And Steno immediately recognizes it as a communication gem, something that her family would use time to time for being able to do quick correspondence between themselves. And from what she can tell of the state, it appears to have been used.
What the hell was she doing talking to him?
Tamiri looks back and forth between all y'all. I don't know.
Did you hear a conversation of any sort?
Vaz would periodically talk to the undead. Does that count?
Between her and the crystal, the one that Taffy is holding.
Oh, I thought she was crazy just talking into the air. I mean, she still paid good silver. Should have spent it faster.
Taffy, can I have that, please?
Sure.
My thanks. But that's all there is in the cave, right?
In addition, from where you're at, you see that there is another 5-foot passage, 5-foot wide passage, that extends deep and down into the darkness. And as Taffy was settling in, she kept a bit of an eye on it, but it extends down a solid 40-50 feet before it crooks off to the side, outside of her vision. And it makes a hollow, echoey sound.
After Taffy's done perusing the book, she go over and use Mage Hand to pry open one of the crates?
Yeah. So you check out the crates and you see different types of supplies, some of which looks like it's already been used through. A good chunk of foodstuffs looks like it had been prepared for and had been consumed. You look like you probably have another solid 5 days worth of rations for about 7 people, so quite a bit of food there still. It looks like this was the spot that was used to provision out the mercenaries as well.
Probably not. Does it say any weapons or anything in the crate?
Weapons, no. Y'all have gone through. It looks like each of the half-orc cadre was armed, as well as Tamiri, so they're all carrying their material on them. And Vaz had her dagger.
So, how much work does it look like it's going to be to get through the barrier that they set up.
So it looks like what they probably ended up having had happen is while they worked on raising the additional skeletons, they had the other two tirelessly begin blocking up that area. So you look like you have two mindless minions with over half a day's, almost 3/4 of a day's worth of piling and work done into this area here. So
it's not
a day.
A whole day is worth of work.
If it was probably one person, if y'all worked together and strategically, you could probably get it done in half a day to 1/4 of a day.
What we should probably do is head back to town with her as a captive.
Agreed.
And come back tomorrow to explore the rest of the cave.
I agree. I'm a little tapped now.
I do have to say, that
Alex,
was an
Castle?
explosion of missiles. Though, it does seem unsettling to just leave the mouth of an exposed cave open. If this is what I think it would be, this would be one of the caves from the Goblin Blood Wars.
Well, on one end, there's a giant spider, and on the other end, it's blocked off, so it's not too intimidating.
Does that mean... Well, I suppose if we come back and it accosts us, we'll just light it back up. So y'all's plan at this point is to head back into town and rest, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
As
Yeah.
we're going back through, Taffy would like to... Are you taking Vaz's body with us?
We will be, but Stano's going to do something a little bit odd. She's going to build a small pile of rocks and then stab the short sword into it and leave it there.
Oh,
Okay.
so it's like a little cairn or something.
It's an altar to Gorum.
Ah.
It feels so good to have my sword back. Did you see what I did with that torch? I, knocked its head clear across the cavern.
It was very impressive.
It felt really good.
Did you guys see what I did?
So many missiles. Did you see there were 3 of you happening simultaneously?
But did you see what else? I got very little blood on me except for this arrow.
She pulls it out.
You should have Demos look at that.
Oh, right, Davos has been medicining us all the time.
Yes. How has Demos' medicine checks been going?
He did well for everybody except himself.
Oh, good. How much is Stano healed for?
8.
Okay.
How much is Kazalin healed for?
24.
Taffy?
Lord.
Taffy got 19.
Yourself?
0.
And
And
Alec?
Alec got a 12.
Well, so Alec actually took no damage throughout all of that.
Can I just transfer his roll to myself?
We'll say yes. So with that, y'all are able, and you get back out and your horses are actually there and alive. All of y'all actually made it through a combat without anyone nearly dying in your party. I am actually very proud of you.
Yeah, that was a lot easier than the first time.
Taffy's gonna punch Voss's dead face. Just once.
Hideous laughter definitely helped.
Oh my god, did it.
Yeah.
I told you that was a good spell.
It absolutely does.
The rolling a natural 1 on it was also just mwah. Just
That
so
was
beautiful.
That was amazing.
And especially because I really like that image of you've got Stano standing on top of the box and, looking down on Vaz, literally 4 feet towering above head to head, right? And then, Damos plucks the lyre, ding, 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 and then just bubbling, uncontrollable laughter as just this terrified wizard falls backwards, being bared down on by just this dual-wielding or, two-handed fighter. That would just be scary. Absolutely freaking terrifying.
Guys, this fight could have gone really, really bad. Sort of like the last time.
Yeah, I was about to say it did go bad once.
Well, because all y'all passed the save of Grim Tendrils, so that made a huge difference, right? Except for Taffy, and even then, the damage wasn't super huge, which Demos was able to fix your bleed. I don't think Taffy was ever in a position to probably get hit again with the way that fight was turning out. That initial spell went down really well. the Tixatog just getting slammed by the spiritual weapon meant that it was not a problem. Bread taking a little bit of piercing damage was probably not happy, but, you know, Caslin has a good 52 HP, right?
Yep.
So, you know, that only puts you at like 40.
So I would like to make a statement to Medvik.
Yes, Stano. It's
Wasn't-
very rare that you pray to me directly.
Wasn't it really cool how Stano kind of leapt up onto a box and struck down a wizard? That's kind of heroic.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty heroic.
That was very, very interesting. It was almost cinematic. I think that Deimos should give you one of his hero buttons.
Up. You take from your own stash, buddy.
Are you willing to condemn your GM into an additional length of servitude for it? Until he
Yeah,
claims your soul? Fine.
Yeah, 100%.
Fine. He cries well anyway in his sleep. It'll be beautiful. You have your hero points. In fact, all of you gain one additional hero button.
Sweet.
Wow. Deimos has like 12 hero points.
No,
Don't worry, his time is coming soon. Maybe through laughter.